In Health Watch this noon, it is a common neurodevelopmental disorder among kids. But since the pandemic, more adults have also been seeking help for ADHD. Experts estimate up to 5% of adults may have it, and many are completely unaware. The Fox Medical Team's Beth Galvin has this story.
I think a lot of adults have at least wondered at some point if they might have adult ADHD. So we talked to a psychiatrist about 3 symptoms to look for.
The pandemic and the rise of telehealth made it easier than ever for adults with ADHD to get a diagnosis and help, but harder than ever to get by with living with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
It created a scenario where everything you had done to compensate for your attention that you didn't even realize you were doing was out the door. Life looked completely different.
Dr. Suvrat Bhargave of the Center for Family Psychiatry in Tyrone says the day-to-day structure of working in an office dissolved, suddenly leaving many of us working from home and surrounded by distractions.
All those things that actually help people with ADHD were suddenly gone, and so now symptoms were uncontrolled, and people were realizing this is a bigger deal than I thought.
Bhargave says it's a myth that people outgrow ADHD, and the disorder in kids and adults usually involves the same 3 core symptoms.
How they look, though, for a child and how they look for an adult can be very different.
The first symptom, Dr. Bhargave says, is you're easily distracted. For a kid, that can make it hard to follow directions.
In an adult's life, not paying attention to detail might actually look like you're very forgetful. So I have adults who have ADHD, don't know it, who think they have memory issues and maybe even have a dementia process.
The second symptom, you're fidgety, which can make it hard for a kid to sit still at his desk.
But being a fidgety adult is someone who might be tapping his or her feet on the table right now and doesn't know that they're even doing it.
The final symptom of ADHD, you're impulsive, which can make it hard for a child who's upset to filter himself.
But in an adult, it might be the charming person in your office who's always interrupting, goes on about one topic and then switches quickly to the next, and you weren't sure where the connection was. So it just looks differently in an adult than as in a child.
Still, Dr. Bhargave says being distracted, fidgety, and impulsive doesn't mean that you need to get help.
But when those symptoms are impacting either your interactions, your performance, or your self-esteem, then it is time to go start a conversation and find out.
And Dr. Bhargave says if you are diagnosed with ADHD, there are tools out there that can help you compensate for your challenges. And he says many of his patients are high-functioning, very creative people who just happen to have ADHD. For your Fox Medical Team, I'm Beth Galvin.